Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to look at an interesting film. So this is Dolphin Tale. So this is a little interesting. This is a fictional story about a real dolphin. So the dolphin in this film, Winter, who had its tail amputated, did in fact exist. This did in fact happen. Winter is the dolphin you see with the prosthetics is a real dolphin. He really did have his tail amputated. They really did use prosthetics. They really did have trouble trying to figure out how to find a sleeve or a sock on there that would be comfortable enough for the dolphin to accept the prosthetic. And yes, because its spine was twisting. Winter did exist. He died in, would have been, I think, the 20 or the 18th or something of November of 2011, I believe. We'll check the IMDb page here. Let's see. Yeah, he passed away on November 11th, 2001. So, however, this was, of course, this film came out in 2011, I believe. Yeah, so Dolphin was pretty old by that point, and it was already an adult when they rescued it. So the dolphin is real, the story is not. So in this story, you have our main character, whose name is Sawyer. Sawyer is played by a young actor by the name of Nathan Gamble. His full character name is Sawyer Nelson. Now Sawyer's his father left 5 years ago. He's kind of depressed because his dad just kind of abandoned them. He lives with his mom, who's a nurse. The person who's kind of been a surrogate dad has been his cousin, who's a fantastic swimmer. His name is Kyle Connellan, but he's also in the military, and he's been called up. So he's going overseas. And so this makes Sawyer even more depressed. He's basically losing his best friend, and the person he's been kind of leaning on since his dad vamoosed. So he's been messing around in school. He's in summer school because, again, he's having trouble with school. And one day, whether he's on his way back or on his way to summer school, he sees a man calls out to him. It's like, do you have a phone on you? And they have this stranded dolphin. So he helps with the dolphin and eventually figures out help is called, and this animal hospital comes, and they take the dolphin, who's eventually become Winter, away. He's beached, and he has fishing line wrapped around, or fishing something. It's either fishing line or it's a fishing net that's basically wrapped around his tail. And so he eventually, I think he might have skipped school, and finds his way to this animal hospital, this animal sanctuary. And he meets a young girl by the name of Hazel Haskett, and she's played by, I cannot pronounce her name, Cozi Zuehlsdorff. Okay, yeah, I'm just massively mispronouncing this. And her father and her grandfather, her father's name is Harry, is played by Harry Connick Jr. His name is Clay Haskett, and then her grandfather, who's played by Kristofferson, is Reed Haskett. So they're running this sanctuary. They don't have a lot of money. It's a volunteer thing. They have Winter. They eventually have to amputate the tail. Sawyer bonds with him. So he has a bonding moment with this dolphin. They connect, and he starts helping out with this dolphin. His mother eventually finds out what he's doing. She talks to the school. It's like, he's happy. He's learning. He's engaged in something. Give him some credit. It's like, this is the first time I've seen this in years. So she allows him to, and I don't know if the school gets involved as well, allows him to earn credit volunteering and working essentially at this animal sanctuary. And at some point, his cousin comes back from either Iraq or Afghanistan. I can't remember which. He's been injured badly. His legs are going to end up in braces in order to walk, or at least one of them. And think one of his arms might be amputated. So he was a major swimmer. That was his identity. So he's depressed. And at one point in time, Sawyer and his mother go to visit him at the VA. And he's being fitted for a prosthetic by a doctor played by Morgan Freeman by the name of Dr. Cameron McCarthy. And eventually Sawyer gets McCarthy to come out to the animal sanctuary to see Winter to try to create a prosthetic. So they start learning and trying to figure out how to create this prosthetic for Winter, because he's swimming, but he's without a tail. He's swimming very badly, and it's damaging his spine and will eventually lead to paralysis, because he's probably messing with his spinal cord and doing things he's not supposed to because he doesn't have a tail. So you have the inspirational, they're learning, they're trying to figure this out, trying to figure out what's going on. Eventually, Sawyer figures out it's the sleeve. It's this little sock that they put on to attract the prosthetic, and it's rubbing. So it hurts. So that's the reason the dolphin keeps knocking these things off. So they have to find a special type of material to help basically not allow it to chafe or rub when he's swimming. So it's not painful. And they're eventually able to do this. Not too long thereafter, or slightly before, a hurricane hits, and it destroys the sanctuary to a point that there's thousands of dollars worth of damage, and they don't have the money. And essentially the people who own it can't keep dealing with this sanctuary, so they sell it to some guy. In the meantime, they tried, right before whether it's set in stone, they don't know. Sawyer and the Dr. Haskett's daughter, Hazel, convinced them to do a fundraiser and to try to basically build back the money. His cousin starts helping. He talks to a female reporter who gets it on the news. They set up a webcam, and they basically set on this huge event where they're advertising Winter and trying to raise money to help save Winter. What ends up happening is the guy who's going to buy it, because they kind of give in, he comes out to them. It's like, well, my financial guys take a while, like a long while. So in the meantime, I'm just going to fund your operation, because he sees this. He sees all the people. He has grandkids, and they're inspired by this. So it's the happy ending. He's going to help run this sanctuary. So it's a fun family film. You have the inspiration of the cousin who's an amputee, who's getting back on his feet, who's reclaiming his life. You have this young boy who's been disillusioned, inspired by a dolphin who's an amputee, and kind of getting back into the swing of things. And of course, you have the underdog father and daughter and the grandfather who are running this sanctuary because they want to help animals, and they're able to save their sanctuary. So it's a fun family film about a real dolphin that did exist. Unfortunately, sadly, by the time I filmed this, I actually filmed this. This is being filmed in the 23rd of November 2001. So when I watched this the other day, go on IMDb, it's like, oh, the dolphin died last week. So by the time you guys see this, it's been several months. So there is a second film, and I may cover that at some point. So it's a good family film. It's about an actual dolphin that did exist. At the very end, they kind of do a montage of showing the actual Winter and the actual rescue and what actually happened with this dolphin. So you kind of get a little bit of the background at the very end of the film of this true story. Otherwise, you get the family film of heartwarming veterans, children, rescuing an animal sanctuary, everybody coming together at the end. It's fun. It's kind of a fun thing. And again, it's good to kind of see this dolphin that did exist, and they did have to deal with this tail situation. You kind of see a little bit of it. When they do the montage of them trying to figure out the prosthetic situation, they show a lot of the math. They show a lot of what they had to do. And again, when they do the montage, again, they show a lot of the science that was involved in creating this prosthetic sleeve and these prosthetics for this dolphin. So it's a great family film. It's cute. It's fun. Depending on the age range, younger kids, middle school, your high school students might enjoy it. I saw the second one in theaters with a friend several years ago, and we enjoyed it. But animal lovers. So if your kid's obsessed with dolphins, if you have a kid who has some sort of physical disability, this is an inspiring film. And you can look into the real story of Winter. Virtually, sadly, again, Winter has since passed. But it's a good film to do. And again, it's a great family film. So, and if you're looking at understanding prosthetics and the stuff that's involved in what goes on, it's a good film to start that off and what they do. And then again, you can look into the story of Winter and what they had to do, because that did apply to, they used some of the same materials in his sleeve that they're now doing in sleeves of other amputees. So there's a whole bunch of science involved in here. So that's it for this video. If you like what you see, be sure to check out the rest of the channel. I do a lot of family films. I do a lot of books. I do a lot of children's stuff. We're a secular homeschooling family. So most of my stuff is aimed at that. That's kind of what's in my mind when I'm filming these and picking out certain things. Sometimes I just do stuff for fun. Sometimes I do stuff for nostalgia because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I will plan to share some of this stuff with my own kids. And then we do a little bit of travel stuff as we go on. Once we get traveling a little bit more, that's one of the reasons we're homeschooling, travel. So those will be added. So be sure to like and subscribe and check out what I got. Thank you.